Jada Pinkett Smith, welcome to Pretty Smart.
Thank you for having me.
I love saying that. I've wanted you in this chair for so long.
Here I am.
So I grew up in Chicago.
Okay.
And Oprah shot there for 30 years.
Yes.
And some of her producers were friends of mine.
Okay.
And do you remember when she said, you get a car?
You get a car. Yes.
So the cameras cut off and they told me this story. She looked at everybody and dead in the eye in the Oprah voice, and she said, you may not feel like you deserve this, but you are worthy.
Oh, wow.
And I thought about that story for so long. And I look at this book cover and I see your beautiful face with the words worthy right over it. And I feel like you couldn't have been more clear.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think self-worth is everybody's mountain to climb.
Absolutely.
What do you feel like you know you are worthy of now?
Love, no matter what. And worthy of gaining the courage to be happy.
It's interesting you say gaining, because when I read your book, I felt so much courage, even from that young girl in Baltimore.
Yeah, I've always been courageous, but it's learning how to embrace your courage every step of the way. Because there have been times when I haven't been courageous, you know, and we all have those moments. We all have it in us. It's just a matter of being willing to take the chance, because there's always consequences. And that's the part that we're always afraid of. It's like, if I take this next step, what am I gonna lose?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have to lose things to gain new things. But it's really scary, because we get very comfortable in what we have. And unfortunately, there's always a price to pay of some sort. You know,
good and bad.
Good and bad, you know, when you're walking into those next gates of self, next gates of life. You know, it's just what it is. You can't avoid that.
This was the next gate. It was so clear that it was. When you set out to write it, who did you really want to read it?
I wanted women who have had challenging journeys to know that they are not alone, to know that they are enough, and that no matter what, they are worthy of everything they seek. And that even though I've had my experiences, we all have unique experiences, what we're looking for, and the challenges that we go through are not so unique. So as I was writing about my journey, I was hoping that there would be other women, other people that would see their journey in my journey. And that's what I was hoping for. And that just to give a bit of what I've learned along the way. Not to say that you got to do it that way, or, you know, but just to say, hey, I know for me personally, when I read memoirs or I hear people's stories, I'm always asking for the gems that they've learned along the way to just prompt me. It's just prompts, that's it.
I think we learn through stories so often.
We do, we learn through stories.
Yeah. Gloria Steinem, every time I hear her speak live, she hasn't written this anywhere, but she says it live, that the most feminist thing you can do is share your honest stories with other women.
Listen, that's what I believe, because a lot of times we're told that we shouldn't. I think that culturally, there are narratives around women in general that we are supposed to live up to. Instead of being allowed our true stories. So I think oftentimes women are left to judge themselves within the stories that they're actually living versus the stories they think they should be living. And we have a right to the truth of our journeys.
That was actually one of the huge takeaways I had, because we talk about healing so much, and I read your words and I thought, maybe it's about acceptance and understanding.
It is.
Before your book came out, you posted one of the reasons you wanted to write this was to reclaim your narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like you've done that?
Absolutely.
Tell me more.
I think a lot of the hoopla came from disrupting people's narratives that they wanted me to fit in. No. You're supposed to be this way because we see the story like this, right? Whatever the story is, the story of Jada who's married to Will, the story of Jada who I fell in love with in the 90s, whatever your story is, right? But that's not me. It's your imagination of who I am. So now I'm going to show you who I am. This is who I am, and if it doesn't fit in your narrative, I'm sorry. But now I am going to share with you my story, my narrative, and this is what it is.
I think if people read the book, they would feel that.
Yeah.
I think if they didn't read the book and saw all the media around it,
Yeah.
I'm not sure they would.
No, but you have to want to know me. And at the end of the day, you don't have to. It's
so
okay.
The public discourse, you just pay no mind.
No, because why give power to people who don't know you?
Have you always felt that way?
Yeah, I have. I very rarely have had concern about public opinion because these are people who don't know you. I give a lot of concern to people who know me.
I loved getting to know you through the book. One of my favorite parts, it was like really fun to read about your journey to LA, to Hollywood. You just were like this pit bull ready to go. And you talk about you're getting your first agent. You talk about all these legends that you met kind of coincidentally.
Right.
Eddie Murphy being one of them.
Yeah.
And I love you share the advice that they gave you.
Yeah.
It is so clear to me when reading this that not only did you know you were ready to be in the spotlight, but everyone around you knew it was going to happen at some point.
Right.
How famous did you want to be?
I just wanted to be able to make a living off of art. And I wanted to be appreciated for it, but I wasn't looking to be like the number one. You know what I mean? I wasn't looking for that. I was just looking for an opportunity to be in movies, to be, in TV shows, and to make a good living off of it. But I wasn't looking to be like super famous. And I mean, funny enough, Will used to ask me that all the time. He would be like, how come you don't want to be the #1 actress in the world? And I was like, I have no interest in that at all. I have no interest in that. That would take me away from that which I'm really interested in, which is like, I love intimate relating. I love having really special friendships, you know. And once I had a family, once my kids came into the picture, they're still my world.
It was cool to learn. I didn't know that you directed music videos.
Yeah.
So when you started talking about all the art that you loved, I realized, oh, she's an artist. I felt that from you.
Right.
Do you feel like you got what you asked for?
I've gotten a lot of what I've asked for. I feel as though, as far as my creative life, I think I'm coming into something.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm coming into something. We'll see.
What makes you feel that?
Meaning, I've always wanted to do a lot of different things. Like I talk about in the book, Debbie Allen was like my blueprint. Debbie has directed, she's acted, she's done music. You name it. She produces, she writes, right? And so I'm starting to look at the body of my work and go, we've done a lot of stuff, but I still have a few things that I want to do. So maybe ask me in 5 years. I think I'll be able to look at my creative life and go, okay, I did everything I wanted to do. But the one thing I will say, my biggest art form is how I live my life. I look at everybody in which how they live their life as art. You are a walking piece of art, right? And so I will say I'm pretty proud of that. Quite a tapestry,
Truly.
So
that's such a great word for it. I loved when you talked about the difference of body image coming from Baltimore, and you were like, where I was from, hair on your lip was cool. I was like,
hair on your lip, hair on your leg, hair was sexy, You came out here and it was like yeah, no hair, you know, but where I came from, hair was everything. Yeah.
I was thinking about that, and I was like, I've never heard you talk about body image, because I think everybody looks at you and feels your energy and thinks, oh yeah, Jada's good.
Right.
Are you confident?
I would say yeah. Well, let me say this. I'm very confident in a lot of different areas. I won't say that I'm confident in everything, right? I'm not confident in everything. But there are a lot of verticals in my life that I feel very capable, which gives me confidence. At 52, I feel good in my skin, more than ever before. I feel more like myself than ever before. And I feel like I have the courage to be more of what I truly am than ever before.
I've heard people say that the 50s are your goddess years.
Fuck it, 50s. That's right. You earned it. You know, you earned to be who you are. And people can take it or leave it, honestly. Because you spend so much of your time in your earlier years contorting to try to like fit everybody's, you know, what everybody else wants you to be, and you see that doesn't work at all. So by the time you get to 50, you're like, I did all that. Now I'm doing me.
You were always kind of doing you, though. Like, I loved in the book when you talk about how you viewed men before you really kind of healed some parts of your relationship.
Yeah.
And I felt very similar to you, and I'd never heard a woman be honest about it.
Right.
Because you're not really supposed to say that.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, you're a woman, you shouldn't think that way. It's like, fuck that.
Yes.
That's exactly how I think. You know what I mean? And so that's what I wanted. I wanted women to be, it's okay. Yes, I feel like that. You feel like that. Fuck it. This is real, right? It was definitely a lot of work that I had to to do in order to rehabilitate a lot of things. But, you know, that's part of it. Part of being a young woman.
It feels good to know that you've earned it when you do that work, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
There's this line in your book that I have not been able to get out of my mind since I read it. And it depends on where I am in life. Sometimes it makes me cry. You wrote, a woman has a right to her adventures, even if it means courting her shadows as guides to her brightest light.
That's right.
What were you thinking about when you wrote that?
I was thinking about myself, how I've had to court some of my shadows. You know, I tell my kids this all the time. I say, sometimes you have to live who you're not to know who you are.
Whoa.
You know, that means that you'll have certain inclinations, certain impulses, and you'll walk down certain roads and you'll take certain adventures and journeys that aren't you, right? But that's where you discover you.
That's so powerful.
And I think a lot of times we as women aren't allowed that. Like, people will say, boys will be boys, right? It means, oh yeah, men, they're gonna go off and do stupid stuff. And it's okay, because they're boys, right? And then they'll return and whatever. But women, we're meant to be perfect at all times. And it's just not possible. You'll never self-actualize that way if we're not allowed and give ourselves the room and the space to court our anger, court our mischief and our curiosities, court the bad girl, court the good girl. You know what I mean? Court it all.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about being whole and when we talk about female empowerment, how can you truly be empowered if you're not allowed to truly know yourself?
Yeah, and feel even empowered by the shadow side.
You have to.
Yeah.
And we have to get acquainted with it, because if we don't know our shadow, it remains unconscious and it'll take the wheel of our life in ways that we never even knew it could.
Yeah. I was in Vegas for Super Bowl 2 weeks ago, and I got an alert on my phone that said, Jada Pinkett Smith scares off intruders. I thought, that's a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
What was the first thing that went through your head? I just thought of the Baltimore girl, because I was like entrenched in your book.
It was just an old instinct that just kicked in. I mean, let me just say this, by the grace of God, I'm here, you know, and by the grace of God, nothing terrible occurred. that old instinct. It's just parts of yourself that never go away.
I admire that. I grew up in the suburbs, and it's like, I'm gonna hide it in the closet. I just thought of you like, holy shit.
Yeah. It's funny. I have a different level of courage when I'm by myself than when I'm with other people. It's almost like if I'm with somebody else, then I can relax. I'm like, oh my God, you take care of it.
Yeah.
But if it's just me, I'm like, what the fuck, you know? Because it's a survival instinct. It's like, you gotta survive.
Yeah.
You know, and that kicks in first and foremost.
You probably know this, you can feel it from me, but I have long been a Jada fan.
Aww.
And I mean it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And when you stuck up for Jordan Woods, I have never been such a fan, because I know it meant something different to you personally, but I thought it was a moment for women instead of going with the crowd to really say, this is my friend and I'm behind her.
Yeah.
And I was at the 15% Pledge Gala a few weeks ago, and Jordan was at the table right next to me.
Oh.
And she's in love, and she's happy.
Yep.
And I was preparing for this interview, and I looked at her and I thought, this smile is because Jada gave you a lifeline. How many Jordans are there that we don't know?
Millions. Millions.
Really?
Every day. Every day.
You have that protector energy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean in my life?
Yeah.
Oh, in my life. Oh, it's my love language. You know, I wish my love language was, you know, more simple, like cooking and like, my love language is like, what? It's a fight? What? What's up? You know?
Yeah.
I enjoy being there for people when they're struggling and when they're in trouble.
Do you think any of that is because you are giving something you didn't feel like you got growing up? Like, I was reading this thinking like you didn't have anyone really to protect you.
Yeah, I think that being able to offer something that wasn't readily given to me fills that void. If someone is standing up for you, if someone is willing to protect you, that to me is everything.
Can you give yourself protection, or
Yes.
do you can?
Absolutely.
So you've been able to give that to yourself.
That's what I've had to learn. I think that's been one of my biggest lessons in this lifetime, right? And I think that having other people that'll stand up for you is beautiful. But first and foremost, us knowing how to stand up for ourselves is imperative. It is imperative. And then anybody else standing up for you is like icing on the cake, you know? But
yeah.
I think for me, specifically in romantic relationships, you know, intimate dynamics, waiting for someone to save you, waiting for someone to show up for you in a certain manner, whether it's like, I need you to validate me in a way that I can feel validated, or I need you to protect me in a way that I can feel protected. We're doing ourselves a disservice, expecting someone to make us feel that way. Now, when we put in the work to give those gifts to ourselves, and then someone wants to join in with us, right? In supporting that which is already there. Oh yeah, I know who I am and I feel worthy already. And then somebody comes in and says, I wanna join in that, you know, and illuminate that even more, that you're worthy, versus I'm coming to you to do that. That is your job.
Yeah.
Nobody wins that game.
You and Will talk about that a lot with happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think that that's the place that we find our healthy selves, that help us make decisions that help form the lives and environments we really want. That's what it means to give your power away. When you're expecting somebody else to do that for you.
You're right.
Versus knowing how to create it for you, and then attracting those energies and those people that'll help you build on that.
You led me right into my next question. So I love reading memoirs. Do you read memoirs?
Yeah.
I've never seen one name come up more than you and Will in a celebrity memoir. Viola Davis, Vivica Fox, in interviews, D.L. Hughley, Tyrese, of course, Jordan Woods. They all mention you. Those are just names that I know. I'm sure there's tons I don't know. When you and Will had a turbulent few years, did you feel like the people that you had poured into for 30 years had your back? Did you feel like they showed up for you the way you guys had showed up for them?
I didn't talk to anybody about it.
Really?
Yeah. Nobody knew except people that were in my innermost circle.
Do you feel supported by people now?
That's a really complex, it's very layered. I don't know if I necessarily look for support in that way, right? Because people are trying to figure out themselves and how they relate to their own relationships. So let's start with perspective. Because the perspective in where I'm sitting in my seat, it's taken a really long, arduous journey to get there. So I'm not looking for a certain kind of thing. Where I think with people in regards to how they relate to relationships and the kind of relationships they are looking for and how they want to relate to the idea of relating is sometimes outside of the box of which I'm sitting in.
That's fair.
Right? And so the romanticized concepts of marriage and relationship I've moved through, where people are either still in that idea or in search of that idea. Now let me go back to what you were saying in regards to, do I feel supported? I feel supported, yes. The people that love me, right? But I don't expect people to always understand.
That's a hard place to get to when you've poured into people.
But you know what? Not really. Because then once again, I would be doing the thing that I'm asking people not to do with me. I don't want to squeeze you into my narrative, to squeeze you into an idea of what you need to be for me to feel good. I'm just going to accept whatever that's there. And as long as it's love, I'm good with that.
I think in grief sometimes, not that this is grief, but in grief, I've felt like certain people I thought I was close with backed up. And then certain people that weren't that close with me kind of leaned in, and I was like, I didn't expect you here.
Oh, well, definitely, like in more extreme situations, like, but as far as my relationship, I've never felt that.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah, I've never felt that as far as my relationship goes. Now, there's other things that go down. You definitely, one of the things that I love when you see like extreme situations go down, you see who's there for you and who's not.
That's kind of what I meant.
Oh yeah,
because I'm like, you guys like poured into all these people.
Oh yeah, but not in specifically around our relationship.
That makes sense.
Between he and I, right? Now, certain things that are going on in the public, you know, when stuff goes down, you really see who's for you and who's not. People who said that they were your friends, who now feel like they can turn or do whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then you do have those alliances that show up that you would have never thought that when you're going through a tough time would show up. You know,
those are always interesting to me.
They're so interesting. But it's always interesting to see who falls off, too. This is one funny thing about me, is like I love high pressurized times so I can see what's true and who's true. My tight-knit group, they've been with me for 30, 20 plus years. My road dogs are my road dogs. You know what I mean? that doesn't change. Yeah. Right?
I knew that from your book.
Who you collect as you go, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But my road dogs are my road dogs, and I've been really lucky. Yeah. I've been really lucky with that. So everybody else are associates. So I just stand back, I get my cup of tea, and I just watch. And because I've been through it so many times. I've been through so many cycles of it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe earlier on, I was like, you know, maybe when stuff was coming up, like in my mid-30s, I'd be like, oh my God, I thought that person was my friend. Shit, I learned quick.
In chapter 7, you say Black talent was in vogue, whereas Blackness off screen was not.
Yeah.
And it made me think of what Taraji P. Henson just said in her press tour about pay equity.
Yeah.
What were your experiences like? Were you paid fairly?
I mean, let me tell you. Let me first just say that I'm happy that Taraji was able to talk about it as openly and courageously as she has, because I think that it's something that we as women of color still struggle with, pay equity. When you fight for what you think you deserve, then you're labeled a bitch, right? And it's still challenging. And so it's something that needs to be talked about, which is why it's so great that Taraji went deeper into the conversation, because she's at the top of the game.
Yeah.
So you would think, right? So the fact that she spoke about it.
Yeah. I thought it was really brave.
It was supremely courageous. Yeah, and it's something we need to continue to talk about.
Yeah. In 2022, there was an op-ed in the New York Times. They described your family as the first family of putting it all out there. I don't know if that's true. That was a little, but you guys did put it all out there in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways.
I always felt like it was for healing, for conversation.
Absolutely.
But I do think when you put it all out there, people think they can give their 2 cents.
Absolutely.
Is there any part of you that thinks, I kind of wish I could put the toothpaste back in the tube?
No.
Really?
Nah. What for? Tell me why. Tell me what's the benefit of it.
I personally love it because I learn from you. I feel like a complicated person and I feel aligned.
Right.
But in a public forum, I think a lot of people... Can I be real?
Yeah, keep it real.
I think that society is mad at you a little bit. And when I think about why, I think it's because they've invested in your dream.
Yeah.
And they've spent money with you, they've spent time with you.
Right.
And I think that you'll go into interviews and you give a really thoughtful, complex answer, and they want a yes or a no.
Right. And here's the deal. That's the problem with life. There is no yes and no sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you feel like you'll ever get to a point where you give a yes or no for some of those? I mean, I was kind of like in my seat when Hoda asked you, like, does Will sleep with men? Or like, are you in the Illuminati? Like, you know?
I don't remember her asking that, but...
She didn't ask the Illuminati.
I don't think she asked about the men either.
Yeah.
I'll give you a yes or no on that one. Will does not sleep with men. That's a no, okay?
Okay.
So let's take it back to... People get upset because people want to believe what they want to believe versus what's true.
Yeah.
So people are always talking about keeping it real. People don't want what's real. People want you
interesting.
People want you to fit their story in their mind of what you are. Right? And they believe that their story is what's true. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I can only tell you the truth of my story, right? And so for a very long time, I was very unhappy trying to live up to people's narratives. It made me very unhappy. And even though it made everybody else happy, but I'm more happy now, even though people seem to be really upset.
It made me think of the first line when you open this cover. I bookmarked it. Who do you think deserves love? Who gets to feel cared for? Who's allowed grace for their mistakes? Who's given a pass in times of struggle? Is it ever you? Why do you think you don't get a pass?
I think I do get a pass. I think that...
Really? I think the media was like, I was like, damn, I don't think she deserves that.
But you know what? Let me just keep it real with you for 1 second.
Please, yeah.
When I found out that my life would never be the storybook version, I was fucking furious.
When did you find that out?
I found it out really early.
Okay.
Right? I was fucking furious. It's devastating. It's devastating when you realize life is not a fucking fairy tale. Marriage is not a fairy tale. It's not. It's devastating. And I fought and I screamed and I scratched for a long time. So I get it. And it's okay. It's okay. And guess what? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's like giving power to that is not the focus. And you also, for somebody like me, you have to give grace to that period of time, to that gate. That's part of it. Like, no, you are supposed to represent perfection. You and Will are supposed to be this. No, 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 no. Don't tell me that's not true.
Yeah.
No, how dare you? No, no, no.
I think you hit on something.
Yes.
The J. Cole song, No Role Models. I want that Will and Jada love. I had a boyfriend in college.
Yes.
And he had a vision board, and you and Will were right on it. It was that Will and Jada love.
Yep.
And you were a symbol of love.
Yep.
Does it not allow you to love freely when you are like held as that symbol in society?
Well, let me tell you about that symbol. That's part of the romanticized idea. Because I'm going to tell you what. Hopefully in the future, people will still say, I want that Jada and Will love. Because I'm going to tell you why. When you can go through all the shit that we've gone through and still figure it out, when you can have somebody in your life that's willing to love you through the heartache, through the shadow, through the rain, through the sunshine, through the snowstorm, whatever the fuck. Yeah. That's what you want. You want somebody that can only love you in your perfection? You want somebody that can only love you when there's rainbows and fucking fairy dust? Because I'm going to tell you what, that's what this journey has been about. We've had to truly learn how to love each other.
In a real way.
In a real way, not in the relationship goals way and everything's perfect all the time way.
I feel like you guys are the only ones doing it in a public forum, though. Because, like, I look at my parents, it's not romantic fairy tale. They're together, you know, like...
I don't know anybody that you'll talk to that's been married for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
That's like, woo, this is... You know what I mean? And, like, it gets to the point where where you have to deal with each other as human beings. Where all of that romanticized shit gets stripped down, where your humanness gets laid out on the table in ways that is so fucking ugly. Now what?
Now what?
Now what? You know, and it's one thing that I've learned about vows. So easy to give up. Like, people just give it up so easily. One thing about the holy relationship is like, that I consider marriage to be, and everybody's marriage is different, and everybody's holy relationship shows up in a different way. And as much as Will and I have tried to get away from each other, it's not happening. And what we realized is that it is that intimate relationship that makes you have to face yourself in ways that no other relationship does. It forces you to learn to love in ways you don't want to.
It's the most painful thing in the world.
It is excruciating, right? But
Yeah.
that's one of the beauties of marriage, and it doesn't mean that it's going to ever be the thing you thought. That fairy tale that I was killing myself for, my relationship will never be that. But to know that I have someone by my side that no matter what is dedicated to learning how to love and learning how to love me and vice versa, I don't know what else you could ask for.
It's kind of like the whole point of life.
It's the whole fucking point, man. So allowing people to get through the, oh my God, you guys are not what I thought. You're right. We're not. And if you can find anybody who is, after 30 years of being together, please give me their number, because I would love to know the magic sauce.
Especially people who have kids.
Okay?
That's a game changer.
That's a game changer. So my whole thing is getting past the romanticized desire of needing people to live up to an ideal that's not real.
Is your relationship one that you would want for Willow?
If it's going to help her become the woman I'm becoming, yes.
That's a really big thing to say.
Yeah.
I think you heard me say that I'm single.
It's okay.
It is okay. I'm 33. I'm working on it. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of terrified of picking the wrong person.
Don't be terrified of picking the wrong person. There is no wrong person, and I'm going to tell you why. Because whoever you pick, as long as you're in the game to learn more about yourself and to learn more about relating, it's never the wrong person. It's never the wrong person. We're only ever attracting that is a mirror of where we're sitting right now. And if somebody is showing you something of where you don't want to sit, use that person to change it within yourself. And once you make those adjustments, that person will move on. And then there'll be another gate that opens for you. But don't be afraid.
Like that. Because people tell you to just jump, and it's like sometimes you need that time.
It's not always about like, this isn't working for me, so I'm leaving, because you're not comfortable. Mm-hmm. You know, that's one of the things about relationships that I think people overlook, is like, people aren't there to suit your comfort.
We don't learn that as a kid.
Yeah, that's not what relationships are for. Relationships are there to help you learn. We're getting in the game of relating to learn how to love. Now, if you're with somebody who has no interest in learning how to love, move on.
I love that so much.
Yeah, like, we don't know how to do that shit.
We're in the game of learning how to love. It's true.
You want to find a partner that is interested in learning how to love themselves and love you. We don't know. Nobody's a pro at that. I don't give a hell what anybody says. That's what we're here to do.
When you first met Will,
I didn't know that.
you didn't know?
No.
So what do you think it was about him? You could have been with anyone.
Yeah.
What was it about him that you were like, I want more? That person's for me.
Well, it really happened because it was Jaden.
Really?
Because I got pregnant.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I got pregnant.
I think I need to do that.
I got pregnant, and so it was kind of like, I don't think, for somebody like my personality, I think the Great Supreme was like, oh, I know how to get you. And even that was like, no, I don't want to be married, you know?
Yeah.
And so I knew that he's a climber. I mean, that's the thing that keeps us in the game now. It's like, we're climbers.
Yeah.
You know, and we both have a really fierce, like, we love to learn, we love to challenge each other. And there's not a lot of people that can match me energetically. Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of people that can match him energetically.
I want to talk about your band.
Okay.
So in 2021 on Red Table Talk, Willow got your band together.
Yeah.
And performed Bleed All Over Me.
Yeah.
And the camera cuts to you. I have never seen you lit up. Like you were elated.
I was elated because all I could, one of the first things I saw was her as a 5-year-old in one of these dive bars I'm performing in, and her on the shoulders of, one of my security agents in the back of the bar watching me perform. And then to see her on stage performing my song was just wild. It was wild. It was just wild, yeah.
Why are you getting emotional?
Because, it's like she was just so enamored with her mother performing, and she just loved it so much. And then to just see her, she just took it to the next level. Willow is like this, I consider myself not a musician, but more of a performer. And Willow's both. She's a performer and a musician, but she's a serious musician. So she took it to the next level, right? And so to be able to see your children who journeyed with you in a certain way, and then they take that journey and just fly with it. She's just an exceptional artist in my mind, and I'm just so proud of her,
What in you would be most important for you to see in her?
I don't know if it's so much of me wanting her to take the best of me versus me seeing that which is the best in her and helping her build on that. Like as mothers, I think it's really important that we're able to nurture the strengths of our daughters that may not necessarily be our strengths, and to just see them as their individual selves.
That's somebody who's been to therapy.
Yeah, it's like, but Willow came in this world very much Willow. And she's not willing to surrender to anything less. And she was that way in the womb.
Yeah.
So from day one with her, Jaden, and Trey, I've only wanted to ever see their superpowers and help them nurture that and self-actualize and be their own opinion leaders. I've only ever wanted that for them.
I remember seeing Jaden on Oprah as a toddler. I would come home and watch Oprah every day. And now I see your kids and they're full people and the press is there. As a mom, what's it like seeing your kids have to navigate that?
They do it so well.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I'll say it over and over again, like Hollywood is its own jungle and press is its own jungle, and it's a hell of a thing. I gotta be honest with you. I'm just proud that Will and I were able to keep them out of the jungle we had to grow up in. I still have friends and I still have family members who have to raise kids in the jungles we grew up in. And I'm just proud of them. I'm proud of how they navigate their jungle.
I think hindsight is always illuminating. How do you think people are gonna feel about how Jada was treated in pop culture in 30 years?
Hopefully in 30 years, people are not even thinking about me, honestly. Because I'm gonna tell you, in 30 years, I'll probably won't be thinking about any of this. I really do feel like if we spent more time paying attention to our familial ties and our personal relationships, that's where all the magic is. There's nothing going on over here,
Speaking of magic, as I closed this book, I thought, okay, it is a book, but it's really just a few chapters. And you're here with me, living some of the new pages.
Right.
Do you think that Jada gets a happy ending?
Oh, hell yeah. Yes. Yeah, Jada has a really beautiful ending. Like where I am in my life right now, it's like, no matter what, it's gonna be a beautiful ending. No matter what. And that doesn't mean that it's going to look beautiful,
Yeah.
but
It will be.
it will be beautiful. For sure. That is without doubt.
I have 2 rapid fire questions for you.
All right.
A book you've read other than yours that changed your life, something you think everybody should read.
When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. It's a good one.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can pick a card, any card.
Any card?
Yep. I can't ask you this.
Go ahead.
What's the weirdest thing you've done in your car?
Oh, what is the weirdest thing I've done in my car? Probably lip sync. But maybe everybody does that. Like, I will get down in my car.
What are you turning on?
Listen, it could be me pretending that I'm freaking Tori Amos or freaking Prince, you know, but I will give you a fierce performance in lip sync in the car.
Your kids are so lucky. They really are. Okay, my last question is, what is the smartest decision you've ever made?
Keeping my family together. Absolutely.
Jada, this meant a lot to me.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. This was a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.